You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
I will call this meeting of the Branford Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Thursday, January 22, 2026. I have 7:01 p.m. I'll introduce members of the commission and staff. Commission member Joe Chadwick. Joe, are you here?
Joe Chadwick is present.
Thank you, Joe. Commission member Fred Russo. Fred, are you here?
Fred Russo is present.
Commission member Joe Vayuso. Joe, are you here?
Joe Vayuso here.
Thank you, Joe. Commission member Marcy Pelusi. Marcy, are you here?
Marcy's here.
Thank you, Marcy. Commission member Sharon Hutner. Sharon, are you here?
Sharon's here.
Thank you, Sharon. And no Dave Dyer, right? Is Dave here? Any sign of Dave? Okay.
No.
Our staff this evening is our town planner, McKeel Wackers. McKeel, you're here?
Here.
Our assistant planner, Dan Robinson. Dan, are you here?
Here.
And our clerk recording secretary is Michelle Martin. I believe Michelle is here. And I do see, it looks like our zoning enforcement officer, Heather Gwinnell. Is that correct?
Hi, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, welcome, Heather. So our zoning enforcement officer is here, and also Chuck Anderson. I'm Chuck Anderson's chair. And with that, I'm going to ask our secretary, Fred Russo, to read the notice of public hearing.
Legal notice, Town of Branford. The Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Branford, Connecticut hereby gives notice of public hearings to be held on Thursday, January 22nd, 2026 at 7 p.m. by remote technology to consider the applications listed below. Information regarding how to participate in the public hearings will be provided on the Commission's meetings agenda that will be posted on the town's website at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. Application number 25-16, special exception for the construction of a two-family home in the rear of parcel and a second floor addition above the existing garage for a dwelling unit located at 42 Silver Street, Gregory Bozzi, applicant and owner. Application number 25-19, zoning regulation application for revisions to the landscaping regulations, section 6.3. M. Wackers, Director of Planning and Zoning applicant. At said hearings, all persons will have the right to be heard. Copies are on file in the Planning and Zoning Commission office at the Planning and Zoning Department, 1019 Main Street, Branford, Connecticut, 06405. Written communications may be sent to the above address or to planning and zoning at branford-ct.gov. Branford Planning and Zoning Commission, see Andre's chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Fred. We'll follow our normal format for public hearings, which is the applicant goes first, makes his presentations, including any consultants. After the applicant runs through its presentation, we turn it over to the commission and staff. We typically have the staff summarize the town report that the staff has prepared for the application. We open up for questions and comments from commission members. And after that, we'll open it up to the public and ask that you state your name and address for the record, make your comments, and we'll ask McKeel or Dan to go through the process of how to do it in this remote proceeding. After the public portion, we allow the applicant to respond to any of the public comments. And there may be further questions, comments from commission members. We may or may not close the public hearing. It's not unusual to have a public hearing stay open for more than one meeting. And with that, I'll ask McKeel or Dan to review the process for the public to participate.
Yes, thank you, Chuck. McKeel Wackers, town planner. The instructions to participate in the public hearing, if you wish to speak and using a computer with a microphone, click raise your hand in the participant window If you're calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Dial-in information is listed on the agenda. If you don't wish to speak, you may submit comments using the chat feature. We will monitor the chat as best we can, but speaking is preferred. As a reminder, if you do wish to speak or add a message in the chat, you must provide your name as required by Public Act 22-3. All these details are also available on the agenda, and I pasted these instructions into the chat window. Chuck?
Chuck Anderson, thank you, McKeel. And with that, we'll go through our normal agenda item. Item number 1 under public hearings is Paul Santa Barbara, care of Beacon Hill Properties LLC, applicant and owner, and the property address is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, 15, 17 Beacon Hill Road. Special exception coastal site plan for a 22-unit housing development. This is a matter that we opened at our last meeting in January 8th, and we are continuing that to our next meeting, which is on February 5th. So if you're here for that matter is continued to our next meeting on February 5th. So that's item number 1. Item number 2 is the same applicant, also involved the same property. It's Paul Santa Barbara, Beacon Hill Property LLC, applicant and owner, same address. It's a special exception for grading. And again, that is also scheduled for our February 5 meeting. So we're not hearing that one this evening. So then we'll go to our first item, which I think we are hearing, which is item number 3 on our agenda public hearing, which is Gregory Boss, applicant and owner, 42 Silver Street. This is an application, a special exception, construction of a 2-family home in the rear of a parcel and a second floor addition above the existing garage for a dwelling unit. Is the applicant ready to proceed with that one?
Yes, good evening. Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, here at 420 East Main Street in Branford, representing Greg Bozzi, the owner of 42 Silver Street. Let's go to the map. So this is the property on the northwest side of Silver Street. There's an existing multifamily house here, an existing 3-car garage, and then this other upper part of the property here that had been used as a garden for a bunch of years, and right now is not. It's a little bit overgrown, but you can still walk through there. There's an existing parking area off at the edge of the street here that's been there for many years, and the driveway that goes up to the garage area. What we're what we're proposing is a 2-family house up in this rear area here. The driveway would come off of this other driveway here, go up to this parking area. The other part of this proposal is to add a second story to this 3-car garage for another unit, another 1-bedroom unit. So the total there would be 6 units, and per the zoning regulations, we're allowed, 6,000 per unit, and we're at 6531 with all 6, so we're not exceeding the lot area per unit. This has gone through wetlands and WPCA. It was through a few meetings at wetlands, quite honestly. The drainage calculations got a little complicated because there's all separate pieces here, but in any event, there is a wetland on the other property here. This is the back of the Subaru property, pretty far in the back. The 100-foot wetland line is in here, so part of this property, part of the development is in the 100-foot setback, but walking the property with the wetland enforcement officer, we could tell that there wasn't a lot of trees to take down here, because again, this was mostly garden for a lot of years, so there was a lot of undergrowth. There is a a tree of heaven that's in this area here that we told them that we would take down. The other part of that that developed out of that is we agreed to make, we had infiltrating galleries on both sides of this driveway here. We agreed to make this a rain garden for them. The second floor addition on the garage did require a variance for, because there's existing non-conforming setback here in the rear, and because we're expanding it vertically, we did need a setback. The only footprint changes to this are an enclosed stair that's getting added on to the end over here. Nothing at this point with the house, although the owner has indicated to me that when these get done, he's planning on re-siding the house. We did also, as far as the drainage, we did also add drainage to also cover the existing structures for any, runoff that is tributary to those roof areas. There was nothing there before as far as storage. So we did that. The utilities would be going up the existing driveway, and then up this driveway to this two-family house here. A couple of small decks in the back. Where we go? This is the garage apartment, and these are the elevations of what that would now look like. And I'll show you pictures of the site in a minute, but so the 3-car garage was existing. This is the addition for the stairs here, and the rest of this is the apartment. The two-family house is a duplex kind of thing, up and down townhouse sort of style. So this is the first floor, and this is the second floor, and it mirrors. They're the same. This does not show the deck in the back, but I have it on the site plan. And again, this is the elevations of the building. This is the front, and again, the deck's not shown, but this is the rear here. There is 3-car garage, so there's parking there. There's 3 spaces for each side here. There's actually a space to the left of this first garage door that's up against this house, and then there's the way they park. There's probably spaces for 4 or 5 cars, but even if we only use parallel parking, there's at least parking for 2 there. So I think we've got the parking covered. We would need 11 total, I think. I guess let me redo this here. This is so this is the existing house. Are you seeing the street view now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is the existing house and the existing garage. And then this is that existing parking area here. So there is this expansive lawn that we are putting a couple of infiltrating galleries underneath the lawn up closer to the house, but it'll get returned to lawn after they're installed. I guess at that point I'll see if anybody has any questions. I put the plan back up.
Thank,
Helpful.
thank you, Ms. Preddy. Maybe do you have anything else at this time?
No, that's really it. We're adding some units to this multifamily property, and in 2 separate pieces, but that's the gist of the whole application.
Okay, thank you. Maybe at this time we'll ask Mr. Wackers to summarize the staff report.
Yeah. I can stop this. There you go.
Okay. Pretty quickly, so this is a special exception to allow multifamily of either 2, 3, or 4 dwelling units. So there's currently a 3-family on the property, and is looking to put a unit over the garage as well as a 2-unit elsewhere on the property. This project did get variances from Zoning Board of Appeals on November 18th to allow a different setback for the yard, specifically with the garage. These, as Jim Preddy showed on his site plan, I've highlighted the two that apply for what is being considered tonight. Here's a rendering of the garage with the 1 unit above and then the 3 bays below. And then a rendering of the front of the 2-family in the rear of the property. Reviewing the special exception criteria, there is the requirement that each unit must also have 6,000 square feet of area. And Jim Preddy showed that that is compliant. It's around 6,500 per unit. There are requirements about height and setbacks in the surrounding neighborhood. The surrounding neighborhood is roughly 2 and 2.5 stories. So it's similar to what the proposal is looking to achieve. And the setbacks, this is a street that was developed prior to zoning. A lot of the setbacks are not uniform, I would say, and are closer to the property lines than you would expect on properties that are developed after zoning. The bulk requirements, Mr. Preddy went through the table. It does conform to the R1 bulk requirements along with the variance. The height, it conforms. The basic standards we have in Chapter 6 of the zoning code, it complies with most aspects, but there are probably a couple aspects that need to be clarified. And it'd be a good opportunity for Jim Preddy to address those. The first would really be the landscaping elements. There's a front yard landscaping strip requirement. Obviously, there's front lawn. There's also a side yard and landscape of 10 feet. And then there's a 40% requirement, a circumference for planting beds around the building. So just would like some clarification on that. The off-street parking. I think what we want to see here is there are those 2 spaces along the street. I don't know if they're conforming to the size requirements we expect for a parking space. I think we should at least have some understanding that if those 2 are really not available at some future date, perhaps the town does something with the street. Is there places on the property that can accommodate those vehicles? And then went to the department comments. There is a WPCA approval that's already been granted, and all the departments had no other issues with the proposal. We do recommend, subject to the applicant addressing the Section 6 requirements for landscaping and parking. We do find it to be in compliance with the following conditions. Prior to start of construction, erosion controls, these are our boiler or standards requirements. We have a condition around prior to issuance of the zoning permit that the applicant comply with the landscaping plan. And also prior to issuance of a zoning permit, the off-street parking can be demonstrated to be feasible on site. And then finally, our standard language around exterior lighting. And with that, I will stop sharing and turn it back to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wackers. Mr. Preddy, can you, those are the 2 issues that you saw that Nikhil were asking about in the staff report, the parking and the landscaping. On the parking, do you know I think Nikhil gave the standards Yeah, it's one space for a one bedroom and two spaces for a two or more bedroom. I haven't calculated I don't know if you have, how many bedrooms there are for
Yeah.
the whole site and where you can put all the parking. Have you done that?
So as I said, I think total we would need 11 for the number of bedrooms. There's actually six up here. There's three in the garage. There's one here. I think they actually head in park here now, but the street is kind of narrow. So even if we only counted on two parallel parking spots on that existing paving, I think we've got all the parking. But I did show you the photograph of this lawn. It's a pretty wide, flat area. If necessary, if the town did something with the road here and we had to get rid of that, I think there is opportunity to provide a couple of extra spaces in this relatively flat lawn area here. Regarding the landscaping, quite honestly, I didn't really think of anything. There's that, we didn't put it on here, but there is that one tree that was in the photograph that's fairly large right in this area here. And then a couple of shrubs at the end of the sidewalk, and then the rest of this is currently lawn. Um, the Given what's going on here with the existing conditions, I don't really think we could add anything around the side or the rear here because there's quite honestly a rock face right behind this building. On the upper portion, we are leaving the majority of well, pretty much all of the mature trees here. We're basically just clearing out what's scrub now that was left over from the garage, sorry, garden that was there, with some exceptions. So if it's acceptable to the commission for a staff review, I will have a landscape plan prepared for the foundation plantings and actually this rain garden too, because I believe Jamie wanted to see the plants listed for that as well.
Um, Thank you, Mr. Pretty. In terms of the 11 spaces,
Yes.
how did you calculate that? Was that just counting the bed? Was that include the existing house or
Yeah, so
not?
there's three units here, so that would be six. There's
Okay.
two units here, so that'd be another four, and then there's one above. So that's 11, right? Or
Okay.
did I catch
And
that?
the, and when you said units, I don't know how many
Bedrooms. I'm
bedrooms are in
sorry,
the units.
bedrooms. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So you were counting the bedrooms.
Right.
So where would could you, I know you said you could put something, but I'm trying to envision this,
Yeah.
that,
So there's this pretty wide flat area here that we could add a few spaces into if for some reason they couldn't use this anymore. But right now they probably park four or five cars there now. But even if we only counted on two parallel, I think we have the number covered, and also using the three inside spaces in the garage.
so you got three in the garage and how many in the upper
There's
where the new, how many spaces are there?
Right, so I have three up here. There's one, two, three on each side. Two, three. There's so that's six. There's three in here is nine. I said that typically they park one here to the left. There's room to the left of the first door, right up against the house here. And then, like I said, they usually park four or five out here. But if we only counted on two, I think we have 11. And like I said, if we needed to, we could use some of this flat area here.
Hmm. Yeah, it looks,
If
it looks
this went away.
right. The property line, it looks like where some of the parking is now in the front is on the is on the street itself, or it's
Well,
beyond the property line. I don't know.
yeah, some of it is in the right of way, correct?
Yeah. Um, so in terms of is it all off street or not, I just wondering about that. And the landscaping, I know we're in the process of, next week we're going to start revising our landscape regs, but I mean, right now, I mean, we have these, front and side and rear yards and the 40% stuff. And I don't know if you can comply. I mean, that's the question. Maybe I don't know the answer to that. And so that's my question as because as you pointed out, hey, look, it's all rock, it's whatever, and where exactly you would need to do it, and that's been a problematic. It's one reason why we're revising the regs, and we've used this quote excellence in landscape design as an out when we, which is probably stretches half the time, but. Um, I don't know if you've even looked at those regs, Mr. Brady, to see if you could, or, d- d- do it. And I understand appreciate you that you indicated where you could do it. I'm just wondering if does that satisfy the regs? That would be my question. And I don't know the answer.
So just to comment, I mean, so there is, it's a question of how we define the landscape strip, which it doesn't have a definition in the regs. They're certainly keeping a lot of the boundary is in its natural state. Obviously, the driveway abuts the property line. But we're in terms of they are like, complying to the extent feasible. And a lot of this is pre-existing conditions, so they're not exactly establishing a new driveway on the property line. So that is, I would tend to fall that is, legal non-conforming. And at the end of the day, they are preserving sort of the natural vegetation on the upper end of the property.
If you assume that there's a natural nonconformity part to the existing part, which is the bottom part of the property, I guess, could you comply with the new stuff? I mean, with the if we for the rear and the side yard there, I mean, I understand he's saying using existing vegetation and so forth, but I just don't. I'm just wondering.
Mhm.
With the new regulations that you're still reviewing or that are on the agenda tonight, you mean?
No, I was talking about assuming the new starting. I know it's on the agenda tonight, but I think we're having the public hearing next meeting because I think we published it twice, but we made a change and we had to bump it to the next meeting. But in other words, as I understood, McKeel had said is there's a pre-existing part of the site. I guess you could say, well, that's covered.
That's
You know,
right.
you don't have to do new landscaping, but and I'm trying to think, well, what do you have to do? And the
Yeah,
new
it's
dwelling is in the back and all that, right?
it's certainly the 40% around the perimeter of the rear property,
Right.
rear building.
Agreed. And as I said, if it's acceptable to commission and the staff can review it, we'll have someone prepare a landscaping plan to incorporate that landscaping around this building and also the planting schedule for filling in this rain garden. We
Um,
just, when we were at wetlands, we just provided a list of native plants that are appropriate for rain gardens via the Yukon website, but they haven't been selected yet. So we said that we would have that as part of a landscaping plan.
Okay, and on parking, I think you calculated it as 11 and that you have 10 fully on site. And if you said the front
Yeah.
could be could be two,
Yeah,
and
right.
then
So even if we parallel parked so they weren't sticking out at all, I think we could get at least two there. I know we can get at least two there.
and that you could put more parking if you had to on the side where over
Yeah,
there. Mhm.
in this area here, I showed you that photograph. It's all pretty flat in here. We could, without too much trouble, put parking in there.
Okay. Okay. Questions, comments from commission members before we open up the public? Um, Hearing none, then let's see if anyone from the public wishes to comment. Does anyone from the public wish to comment on this application? McKeel and Dan, I think we see
I see
Ms.
two.
Monaco, or a couple. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just see. There's a Deborah Monaco.
You can proceed, Ms. Monaco.
Yes, hi, how are you? I'm here in my daughter's place. Buffy Maselli owns two properties here on Silver Street. I've lived on this street. My family has been on this street my whole life. I'm 72 years old. My mother was born on Silver Street. So we know the street pretty well. With hearing about parking, parking has been an issue. As you know, Silver Street is a very narrow street. We have a commercial trucking company at the top of the hill that it's almost impossible to get up and down the street when there's parking on the street. And at this site, there's at least 4 cars a day that just pull in straight. So they are impeding on the road itself. It's not off-road parking. My biggest concern is if we are accepting 11 cars, do you think 11 people are going to want to shuffle their cars around every day to get in and out of their homes? I don't see that happening. I don't see a lot of cars. I live at 48 Silver Street, right next door. And I don't see a lot of cars in the driveway or in the garages. So my concern is parking. Where are all these cars going to go? We don't have room on this street. That's one of my concern. Another concern is wetlands. Silver Street is known for them. My daughter at 26 Silver Street has spent thousands of dollars to correct problems from the runoff of the water coming from all angles of Silver Street. She had to excavate the backyard on 3 occasions to stop water from going into her basement. So wetlands really has to be looked at. Those, I think, are my biggest concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Monaco.
Sure.
All right. So there's another hand raised. The screen name is Patricia.
Hi,
Yes.
good evening. I live at 30 Silver Street. I'm actually Deborah's daughter's neighbor. My main concerns are also parking because those two spots.
Excuse me, can you just identify yourself for the record, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I am Patrizia Fiore, Fiore, and I live at 30 Silver Street.
Thank you.
Sure. So yes, in question to those two spots, the cars that are already parked there, they already jut out into the street, and there is no ability to parallel park 2 cars in those spots without blocking the driveway. I have a little bit of concern about the cars coming in and out of that driveway because there is it's a very narrow driveway and it has a very flat stone wall to one side. And a lot of times, as Deborah was saying, when people come out, they can't necessarily see to the left, and then they just come pouring right out. So that's a bit of a danger because we have a lot of kids that live on this dead-end street that are normally safe to play outside. So now if we have all this extra traffic as well, that creates a little bit, of an issue for the kids that live on the street. And I also agree about the wetlands because I believe, and I have to look at my property because I believe my property actually butts up against that development in question. So I do need to take a closer look at that. Unfortunately, I didn't get the document about this meeting until today, so I wasn't able to take a closer look. So those are a few of my concerns. We also have quite an abundance of wildlife in this area, deer, possums and so forth. So that's a little bit of a concern too, with all that construction that's going to happen and the, drainage of some of the wetland areas. So those are definitely my major concerns. Thank you.
Joking to share. Thank you, Ms. Fiore. McKeel, are there any other members of the public that have any comments?
I see nothing in the chat and no more hands raised.
Okay. Thank you, Mikhail. Okay, does the applicant, Mr. Preddy, I think the concern about parking has been sort of, I guess, reiterated by the neighbors. Would it be possible to have 11 total off-street if 11 is the requirement, to show 11 parking spaces wholly on your site?
Yeah, I guess I'd request to table this down. I'd have to discuss it with the owner because he's not present, I don't believe. But yeah, we could do that. The other issue with the drainage and the wetlands, I'll share the screen again for a second. So this is the wetland area. So this is kind of, there's a saddle here. This is more or less the top of the hill on our site anyway. And so there's very little of what we're doing heading toward this wetland area, which is down at the bottom of this hill, again, on the Subaru property. The first woman that spoke, I believe, is here, and the other woman is here. So none of this area is going to affect either this one for sure, because there's a large rock outcropping right here. That's probably 15 feet high. And again, we went above and beyond with the drainage here, more than what was required to try to address. We're only really required to store the increase, but we also addressed the existing roofs that are here as well, per the request of the town engineer when we were going through the wetland process. But to your point, I hear you with the parking, and I need to just speak with the owner, but I think we can address that as well, get those existing spots off the road. And then that would give us time to get the foundation plantings for the new building done and the rain garden as well.
Okay, would you like to continue this?
Yes, I think it
Okay.
makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think that would provide some assurance, so be helpful.
Instead of putting it all on
it-
staff,
right.
we'll come back.
Right. And this did get your wetlands approval. Let's just want
Yes.
to make that clear, right? And they had sounds like some drainage improvements as part of that, including the rain garden.
Right. Incidentally, I believe Mr. Bazzi at some point owned the restaurant at the end. Was it the Reef? And he said years ago there was a lot of water running down the street, and they used to get the restaurant. And he said that there was something that was addressed by the town at some point, and it stopped. So I don't know what that was, but yeah, I think there has been drainage problems on the street over the years, but I don't think anything. I think we're addressing all our water on site, so I don't think we're affecting that at all.
Thank you, Ms. Preddy. Ms. Monaco, we've usually closed the public portion. You got something quick that you want to mention? Sure. I'm sorry. We can let her speak just for a sec here.
He's muted.
Yes, the water problem is still an ongoing problem. One of the excavations that my daughter had performed in her backyard, you can actually see the water pouring down from the hill, from up towards this area, from the hill. You can actually see the water coming down.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Monaco.
Yeah.
Okay, are there other questions, comments from commission? It sounds like we're going to continue this matter to our next meeting. Is that okay, Mikhail? I know we have a decent number of things, but it doesn't sound like it's that major thing. Are there questions, other comments from commission members before we continue this?
Just one quick one.
Yes, Marcy.
Somebody had mentioned a wall. I know there's the wall on the left side of the driveway, but was there a wall on the neighbor's property line? I guess it's on the high side of the road, affecting. I'm just trying to understand the sight lines coming out of the driveway with the wall and where the wall might have been impinging the sight lines. If you could clarify that.
Yeah. So I can share real quick. So here's the driveway. And this is the wall. So it's a retaining wall.
Only a couple of feet high there.
And I believe it's on the neighbor's property.
Okay. Any other comments from commission members?
Sorry, I just want to finish a comment. So if you were to change the alignment of the driveway and move those street side parkings elsewhere, they could potentially improve that sight line. Is that fair to say, Jim?
Quite honestly, I've driven in and out of there and I didn't, that wall's pretty low. I don't see that there's really a sightline issue there. And part of that wall is on the neighbor's property, so it's not like we could take it all out.
Well, no, I was thinking if you aligned the driveway to the right where you have the apron, the wider apron of parallel parking that you were talking about. Or to the left, where the parking is that they're currently parking now? If you move the street cut, because don't we need to have a minimum street cut for the driveway apron?
Minimum street cut for the driveway apron.
So right now you've got everybody's nosing in from the street, so there's no, the length of curb cut is exceed what's required, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's existed that way for.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's something, if you're gonna move the parking elsewhere, you could correct and improve the alignment. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, moving that existing driveway that goes up to that garage would be onerous, quite honestly.
Well, I wouldn't move the whole driveway, I would just realign the end of it.
I could look at it.
Okay. If you want me to send you a sketch of what I'm thinking, I will. I'm not,
Yeah,
I
I'm
wouldn't
not
suggest a
exactly
major.
following what you're saying.
Yeah. Thanks, that's all.
Thanks, Marcy. Any other comments from commission members before we continue this? Hearing none, then we will continue this matter to our next meeting, which will be on February 5th. So this public hearing will be continued to our remote meeting, just like this one, on 7 o'clock on February 5th. So, okay. Thank you, Mr. Prince. Okay, so that's it for our public hearings, I believe. Turning then to old business. Item number 1 is the zoning regulations. This is regarding the landscape regulations that we had discussed. And I think Fred read that in the legal notice, but I think we decided that we would push that off to February 5th because we made a correction to the applicant. I think it was originally going to be McKeel, but it's really a commission sponsored, so we want to, made that change, so that gives us longer if we need it. So that'll be on our February 5th meeting. So that's item number 1, the landscape regulations. And McKeel, if anyone wants to review any updated tweaks, where can we find those?
There's a link on the agenda that you can click on. It'll bring you to OpenGov, our online permitting system. You just need to look under attachments and you'll find the regulations that are in draft form.
Okay. So you just click on it and look for the attachments. Okay. Thanks, McKeel. Item number 2, this is Alessandro De Palma, applicant owner. This is 195 Cherry Hill Extension, Lot 11, special exception modifications for in-ground pool. And I believe we can proceed with that one. Is the applicant ready for that?
Hello, my name is Romeo Valentin with Giuliano Associates. I'm the project engineer. Let's share my screen and.
Yeah, let me make you a co-host. You should have it now.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So This is 195 Cherry Hill Road Extension, Lot 11. Currently, this is an existing building with its drainage system. And this is the pool that was previously approved. We are, based on the elevation of the house as it was built, we needed to raise the pool elevation by 2 feet. And then the applicant also decided to extend the patio slightly. So we are increasing the patio by 3 feet along this side and this side, and including a wall, a retaining wall, wrapping along the rear of the lot and the side of the building here. Just to help with the grading so that we don't go back into the upland review area more than we need to. As I noted in my narrative, we during excavation, the clearing limit was disturbed. And so 2,163 square feet of trees and brush were cleared, 1,618 square feet being within the upland review area. But our proposal now is not extending into deeper beyond the original clearing limit. But needs to be noted that that did happen. And now another change is for the drainage of the pool. Originally, we were doing a gravel infiltration system, which was gravel underneath the patio with pipes along it to hold the water and infiltrate. We are now proposing a Coltech system to collect the water along the outside of the patio with a curtain drain, and then it will outlet to grade right over here. And we're also proposing 3 green giant arborvitaes to be planted for screening. And I think that's mostly it. I did address the town engineer's comments with this revision, which were the outlet from this existing Coltech system is shooting out right around here, and we are proposing to reroute it so it can go directly into the swale right over here. And he commented about runoff traveling, I guess, through the wall, but the wall is actually 3.5 feet with flush to the ground on the high side. So any water that hits the wall will actually go over and be directed into the swale. And I think that was basically the big things to note. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Mr. Valentin. I believe Dan did the staff report on this one. Dan, do you want to summarize that for us?
That's right. Yep. I'll share my screen here. Can everyone see? Let me zoom in a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so we're at 195 Cherry Hill Road Extension. This is a special exception modification. The original special exception was for this lot with the pool that was in October of 2024. They're modifying that design now. The public hearing was waived at the last meeting. This is just a quick comparison of the two plans. So on the left, we have the original approval. It's without the retaining wall and the enlarged patio, of course. And then this is the new design with that retaining wall in the pink, the enlarged patio, and the pool there as well. I think it's a few feet closer to the wetland than it was before. So that's part of this modification. They did receive an inland wetlands permit this week. So they were approved on that front. This is an aerial image from October of 2025 of the house there. We did field some comments from other departments, most notably from the engineering department, which Mr. Valentin already responded to. There was a comment about about a storm drain that sourced from 14 Autumn Ridge Road to the right of this parcel. I believe a modification in the design accounted for this comment. I think they're grading away from that the discharge of that pipe so that it goes down and away from the pool. So that those comments were addressed. Other than that, I would recommend that the commission approves it, noting that the applicant did listen to the town engineer's comments, just with the conditions that, of course, erosion and control measures shall be installed, and that the applicant must respond to comments provided by the tenant engineer going forward, in the event that there was still correspondence between them that needed to be addressed. That's it from me.
Check in and share. Thanks, Dan. Dan, I heard Mr. Valentin. It sounds like he did respond to the town engineer's comments. Do you know if the
Right.
town engineer agreed with the responses or said anything? I mean, what he said made sense, but I just don't know if the town engineer looked at those responses or agrees with them. Do you know? Or
Well, I believe that they were addressed, especially that the concern about the adjacent property and the stormwater drain emptying onto 195, that the grading was provided so that there weren't any issues with stormwater going onto the pool area or the residence. That was addressed. So I believe that there's satisfaction on that end.
okay, yeah, I just didn't know because I did see that Mr. Valentin actually, responded. And he said
Right.
this, but
Yep.
I just and some of them were okay. We did this. We provide the drainage report and whatever, which makes sense. What I just
Right.
didn't know is whether the town engineer had looked at the responses, had anything further to say or not, and whether and I don't know, and whether he needs to. I mean that's a question.
Yeah.
I know you say as a condition respond to
Right.
the con. You say, well, I have responded, but
Yes.
what I just don't know is does town engineer agree? and that's it. Maybe it does. I mean, it made sense to me, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Perhaps Mr. Valentin could speak to that more. I haven't spoke to Mr. Hefferly today about the matter, but I believe that there's satisfaction on that end, but we're keeping the condition just in case there was something that needed to be resolved going forward as insurance.
I have not spoken to him since the comments. I haven't received any kind of update on those. I mean, I think the only thing was the pipe from the neighboring property. And again, we did that grading, so that's the only thing that maybe he could comment on. And again, if he did have a comment, we would be fine to update however he feels is necessary beyond what I've already done. So, yeah.
Okay, maybe just add to that condition, must respond to the comments provided by the town engineer to the satisfaction of the town engineer or something, just to.
Yep.
Because, someone say, well, I did respond, but, just to make sure that I have no reason to question it. I'm just being careful.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Questions, comments from commission members or staff? Okay. This seems pretty straightforward. Does someone want to make a motion to or have any discussion from any members? It seems, again, it's moving a pool a little bit. They get their wetlands approval. There were some details. It sounds like town engineer raised some questions. They responded to them, and we're just covering if there are any additional ones. It sounds like it can be handled internally. So with that, does someone want to make a motion to approve this special exception modification with the finding and the two conditions proposed by Dan in his staff report?
Fred Russo will make that motion.
Motion to approve by Fred. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second, Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo?
Fred Russo's in favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Marcy?
Marcy's in favor.
And Chair is also in favor. So that application is approved. So moving on then
Thank
with
you
our
very much.
agenda, you bet. We're item number 4, again, that's a public hearing scheduled. It's a special exception coastal site plan for a single family home and accessory apartment. It looks like that one's on for our next meeting on February 5th. And then our next item is item number 5. And that may be something, I guess, that we can review. This is 114 Limewood Avenue. Peter Safer, applicant and owner, 114 Limewood Avenue, coastal site plan, demolition of 2 existing houses and construction of a new single-family house. The applicant ready to proceed?
Yep.
Mr. Preddy.
Jim Preddy again, Criscola Engineering, representing Peter Safer. Let's see, let's go here first. This is the property. This is one of the houses that's coming down. Or it looks like the earth's trying to take it back anyway. But this just to give you a sense for the street here. How do I get out of this? Stop. Let's go to the site or the survey. So this is the property that was, you were looking at the front of this cottage here. There's and then there was another one in the rear. The plan is to take both of them down and put up a single house similar to other ones on the street. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So again, this house is coming down. The dash line underneath here is the house that was there that's coming down. This is being slid back a little bit. There is an easement to the neighbor for some parking, so we slid this back so that there could be parking for the new owner, and he could still allow them to park here. We got variances for the setbacks here. So this was much earlier in 25. In fact, I think it happened in July or something. And they unfortunately they did not pull a building permit right away for whatever reason. And they tried to pull a building permit after October 1st. And October 1st, as you know, single family homes are no longer exempt from CAM. So we had to come in and get the CAM application for the single family home. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So that's why we're here. But again, just 2 houses coming down, 1 house coming up. Just to give you a sense for the house. I mean, it's pretty narrow. It's a narrow lot. But this is what the house will look like from the front. Again, very similar to what I showed you is going on adjacent to this property. That's it.
Second to share. Thank you, Mr. Preddy. Dan, I think you did this staff report as well. You want to summarize it for us?
That's right. Yep. Show my report here. All right, so we're at 114 Limewood. Owners Peter Safer, obviously Jim's presenting tonight. Reconstruct a new single family home. They're demolishing the 2 that are there now. It is subject to coastal site plan review as it is after October 1st. It's in the R2 residential zoning district, and it's just north of Limewood Beach. The property does lie within the flood zone, and it will need to be elevated, and that's part of this design.
Yes.
As Jim mentioned, the lot received several variances in May of last year to allow a side yard setback of 1.4 feet, a rear setback of 16 feet, a floor area ratio of 55%, and a lot coverage of 29%. All other applicable bulk requirements for R2 are met. The height is at 34.9 feet, so it conforms to that height requirement. Met the rest of the requirements under section 6. There is enough parking on the site. That's in that, get a little closer, that orange area right there, closer to the street. That can facilitate the number of residents that will live on the property. This is an aerial of the vacant lot. from some point last year, but it's currently vacant. As in terms of the coastal criteria, it's an overall reduction in lot coverage. You're taking down 2 buildings and replacing it with 1. So it's not increasing any coverage, it's actually decreasing it. So that's good to see in terms of the coastal criteria. Again, it will be elevated above the floodplain. And of course, as always, soil erosion and sediment controls will be in place to ensure that there's no unnecessary risk to nearby coastal resources like the beach. We did receive some comments. Well, we actually did not get any comments from Deep, but the 35-day window has elapsed, so we can treat that as a green light from Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. The town engineer stated that PZC may want to consider how the roof runoff and general drainage will be accounted for. Reduced setbacks can present problems managing runoff on the property. He also noted that sewers are available on Limewood Ave, and that the home was within the floodplain. That review will occur later down the road. I think Jim might have something to say about that first part there about the drainage. And from the building, just that exterior walls will need to comply with that code right there. And some window openings may not be permitted depending on the location and distance from the property line, but that shouldn't necessarily impact the zoning review. In terms of the recommendation, again, Limewood had 2 buildings on a narrow lot. Variances were secured. Those buildings have been demolished and a new single-family dwelling is proposed to be built. It has variances to facilitate that construction, and it's not over the height limit. And in terms of the coastal criteria, it's decreasing lot coverage, so that there would adhere to the Connecticut Coastal Management Act as a step in the right direction for protecting those critical coastal resources. So I would recommend that the commission approves it, with the condition, of course, that the erosion and control measures shall be installed. But I think Jim had talked to Mr. Hefferly about his drainage comments.
Yeah, I did. So I did, when this comment first came on, I called him and said, what are you doing to me? Basically, we're reducing coverage here. And his concern was not with storage, it's with the other buildings being so close in the direction of the downspouts. And at that point, I wasn't even sure that they were going to put gutters on. Because I don't know if you noticed in all the adjacent houses that they don't have gutters on their houses. But I did speak to the owner today, and he reached out to the architect, and they are going to put gutters on. So I told Dan what we can do, because this whole area is very sandy soils here. Infiltration is really good. We can add a dry well and just have them connect the roof drains into the dry well, just so they're not heading toward anyone. Even though storage isn't required, he was more than happy to do that for this. So we'll add that to the final plan.
Chuck Andrews, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Brady. Do we need to say anything in the approval about that?
You could just add one quick line, so dry well to be added for roof leaders.
Okay, can you add that, Dan? Just
Yep.
Per
Okay.
town, sorry.
Per recommendation of town engineer or something
Right,
like that.
addressing town engineer comments, right?
Yeah. Okay. Right, you could probably put a period after engineer rather than before, right?
All good by me.
Okay. Yeah, take the apostrophe S off and just
Oh,
put the
yeah,
period
right.
after R, right? Yeah, okay.
Where's my grammar? Yep. Thank you.
Right. Okay. And take the S off because
Yeah, I was one step ahead. Yeah.
we just I'm playing my best Joe Chadwick here. So
Yes,
that's
please.
right. Okay. Other comments, questions from commission members or staff? Okay, hearing none. Does someone want to? It seems pretty straightforward. Again, it's coincidence. It's just because of the change of law. Otherwise, it wouldn't even become enforced. But someone will make a motion to approve the application by adopting the finding and the conditions in the staff report as recently revised by Dan.
Joe Chadwick playing himself will make that motion.
Motion by Joe to approve with the two conditions. Is there a second? Somebody second this.
Fred Russo will second that.
Second by Fred. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself.
Thanks. Thanks, Joe. Fred Russo?
Fred Russo's in favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Marcy?
Marcy's in favor.
And Chair's also in favor. So application's approved.
Thank you.
Thanks. You betcha. Okay, moving on. Item number 6, that's also scheduled for a public hearing at our next meeting. So maybe we've had a series of not too long meetings, but it sounds like next one, the 5th, will be a little bit longer. For new business, we have minutes from our January 8th meeting that were sent out. Have people had a chance to review that? And if so, does someone want to make a motion with respect to those minutes?
Fred Russo will make that motion.
Fred makes a motion to approve the minutes of the January 8th meeting. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second by Mr. Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick?
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo?
Fred Russo's in favor.
Joe Vayuso?
Joe in favor.
Marcy?
Marcy's in favor.
And the chair is also in favor. Okay,
Yeah,
that brings us then to
Chair, just a comment.
Oh, yes.
Under pending items, if we have an applicant for that, we did get deep comments today that could
Okay.
be heard tonight if we have a presenter.
That's for 64 Lanfear's Cove Camp.
Okay, excellent. Sure. Let's we've gone through I see that under pending items. We'll skip planner's report and move to that. But first, are there any correspondence?
No correspondence.
No correspondence. Okay. So then let's go to we'll defer the planner's report and look under pending items. Item number 1 is Douglas W. and Dante Bartolomeo. I'm sorry. 64 Lanfear's Cove Camp site plan and coastal site plan. And I think we were awaiting DEP comments, and have they been received today? Is that
That's right.
right? And I know we haven't received a staff report, but it sounds like, Dan, you've prepared one. So, and it looks perhaps not complicated. So let's see if the applicant wants to present that, and then we can review that and decide what we want to do. Is the applicant here for that? Do we have someone representing this application?
I
Bartolomeo?
think they're trying to unmute themselves.
Okay.
The Samsung, is that, are you the applicant for this?
You're unmuted.
Is the applicant prepared to present? You are unmuted now, so we could hear you if you.
Someone did call me today and I sent them the agenda and explained how to get on the meeting, but I don't know if that's the gentleman or not.
They may or may not be having technical issues.
Right.
You are unmuted. Are you connected to your car speaker, or are you connected to any kind of headphones that might be preventing the audio from coming through?
Yeah, maybe he can wave his hand so we know that he hears us.
Yeah. All right.
Are you the applicant? Yeah.
Who
You can always
used-
call in. You
Right.
can call
Yeah.
in. That is an
Yeah,
option.
you want to try that?
The number to call in, is it's 1-646 558 8656. And then there's a password. Oh, okay. This password, it's 827 7242 0034, and then press pound. Hopefully you can get in that way.
He's calling in. He'll be muted. Muted? Oh, there it is. Yeah, he'll be muted if you're calling.
Well, we can unmute them though.
All right. All right. It is the number. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Peace. This is the first time I've done this. I apologize.
We
It's
can hear you.
okay. We can hear you.
Okay, you're at an echo, but how can I help you?
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
It's Ken Welch, 21 Pleasant Street, Wallingford, Connecticut.
And Mr. Welch, are you representing the applicant for this?
Yes, I'm the builder.
Okay. Do you want to just explain what the application is?
So, as I understand it, we're not changing anything. We took down the old building. This is a 3-season community, and the new building is exactly the same footprint as the old. We've presented architect's plans, survey, and some other supporting documents.
Okay. And this is in the Lanfear's Cove camp. You're demolishing and replacing in the same footprint, the same dimensions, a dwelling, I assume, a small dwelling.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Welch. Dan, did you prepare a staff report about this?
Yes. Yep. I'll go ahead and share it. All right, so we are at 64 Lanfear's Cove Camp. You may recall an application in the fall of last year. This is a similar project to that. The size of the structure is 546 square feet, so it's small, and they're rebuilding on top of the same foundation. They're tearing down the existing structure. It's the R2 zoning district. And is part of that larger Lanfear Cove Association. And that parcel is, of course, right on the Long Island Sound. So that's highlighted in yellow there. That's the structure in question. And then in terms of where that is on the larger parcel, it's on that southern strip right there. Again, part of the R2 zoning district. They're not expanding the footprint at all. The existing cottage was built in 1938, so it's legal non-conforming. They're not adding a second story. They're keeping the same footprint and essentially doing a rebuild to modernize it. There is enough parking nearby the cottage to facilitate the 2 spaces needed for a single family residence. Moving on to just but the current situation is that's where the building is now, highlighted in red. This is from last summer. I believe they'll be going slightly, like they're going to have a small loft area on this side, but it's still going to be 1 story and on the same footprint of 540 square feet. In terms of the coastal site plan criteria, we're hearing it because of the new law. New single family dwellings are subject to coastal site plan review. This is within the district. The parcel abuts the Long Island Sound. They're not expanding the footprint at all, so there's no increase in coverage or concerns with drainage or runoff. So in that regard, because they're not increasing the footprint, the project is found to be that it gels with the coastal site plan criteria. In terms of other departments, what they had to say, we did receive comments from Deep stating that they had no comments, no issues with the application, and internally within the town there were no issues raised from the building official or the town engineer. It's a fairly simple project, so I'm going to go ahead and recommend that the commission approves this tear down and rebuild at 64 Lanfear's Cove Camp, and that it, with the findings that it adheres to the Connecticut Coastal Management Act, and the condition of erosion and control measures to be installed.
Thanks, Dan. Dan, did they have to elevate the first floor at all, or was it?
It's outside of the floodplain. Yeah, it's outside of it.
Great. Okay. Any questions or comments from any members of the commission? Seems fairly straightforward. If not, then does someone want to approve this application by adopting the finding and the condition as recommended by Dan in his staff report?
So moved by this application. Joe Vayuso.
Okay. Joe Vayuso moves to approve, but do it by adopting the finding condition as recommended by Dan. Dan, is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second, Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick.
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo. Fred, you're muted.
Fred Russo's in favor.
Thanks, Fred. Joe Vayuso.
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Marcy.
I'm in favor.
And chair's also in favor, so that application is approved. Okay, then going back to our agenda, we'll go back to our other business and planners report. Mikhail?
Yep, thank you. I'm going to update you where we are on our planning initiatives. Just to refresh you all, we have these 8 initiatives that the planning department is working on. First 2 is obviously coastal management and open space. We're also making progress on transit-oriented development, form-based code, and infill development, housing, proactive code enforcement, and then the town center. Our timelines have not changed since the last meeting, but there has been a lot of activity. Just to show what we're doing on the stakeholder outreach, we have reached out to a number of stakeholders in the community, Stony Creek, town engineer, for coastal management. For open space, we met with the Open Space Commission chair. Transit-oriented development, we've met with the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority. And form-based code, we've met with Stony Creek, Town Center, and we also have had outreach to Canton, who's implemented form-based zones, so we could understand the lessons from them. Also working on stakeholder outreach on housing. I've done an internal stakeholder meeting with the first selectman and directors, and looking probably at next month to start doing external stakeholder meetings. In addition to that, so within these, there's been sort of progress made on particular projects. The first is there's going to be a public hearing at the RTM on February 11th for a resolution to opt into the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority. This is a new entity that was established a little over a year ago that is a funding is a funder for projects around train stations in Connecticut, as well as within downtowns or village centers. So in order to be able to access their technical assistance, and one of the steps towards being eligible for funding is to opt in to become a member of the Municipal Development Authority. To be a member only means that you commit to exploring the possibility of establishing a district. Within the district, you would then be eligible for grant funding. But that's a much later stage, but the first thing you have to do is opt in. Also, we've the former Canoe Brook Senior Center, 11 Cherry Hill Road. We've made a selection for a developer, and we finalized our conditions, sort of the roadmap of what they need to do in order for them to get to RTM for approval to take possession of the property. Right now, they are working on community meetings, and they're going to do a series of those. We required a minimum of 2, but they're going to be doing a number, I think 4 or 6, with the community of the neighborhood, as well as they need to go to Town Center Design Review Board as part of the phase that they are supposed to complete currently. Also, we are getting architectural quotes for a feasibility study of the old post office. We want to evaluate the feasibility of repurposing that property for more of a flex space or event space, evaluating what it would take for accessibility for bathrooms, a kitchen possibly, as well as just the historic elements of the property that need to be preserved and could be eligible for historic tax credits. And then the town center, we did an assessment through the Connecticut Main Street Center. They are a nonprofit that support town centers throughout Connecticut. And they have a way to measure how town centers are functioning. And then from that, you can get a plan put together on where you need to create the support that your town center needs. One of those is we were lacking on sort of data, especially on properties. There's data that just does not exist within the tax assessor information. And we've hired a community survey analyst to start collecting that information so that we can start making more informed decisions around what the town center, how we can leverage that as an asset and what that might look like for making it a vibrant, functioning neighborhood more so than it is today. That is my planner's report. Happy to answer any questions. We'll stop sharing.
Thanks, McKeel.
Yeah.
Any questions for McKeel?
As we get through the stakeholder outreach, I'll be doing something similar with you guys when we have time and an agenda that's flexible. But right now I'm working on, other stakeholders, but you'll be pulled into the process as well.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thanks, McKeel. Anything else, McKeel or Dan? Anything else from any member of the commission? Then I guess someone want to make a motion to adjourn.
Fred Russo will make that motion.
Motion to adjourn by Fred. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second, Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Joe Chadwick,
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo,
Fred Russo's in favor.
Joe Vayuso,
Joe Vayuso in favor.
Marcy,
Marcy's in favor.
and Chair is also in favor. Okay, well, good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.